Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the quality control series for the DCS F-18 Flight School Campaign that I've been working on developing for, I don't know, a while now. As you can see, the hat makes its return, as we do need to be able to look around to do the IR missile mission that we're going to be, or IR missile lesson that we're going to be doing today. And that is accomplished for me, since I don't have track IR, by sticking my phone in my hat and using its accelerometer connected to the software OpenTrack to look around. It's not the best solution in the world, but it works, and that's what we're doing. So as we do with all of these missions, especially the first time that we go through them, we're basically going to do them more or less in real time, just so we can listen and make sure that the narrations make sense, make sure that the mission is able to be accomplished as expected. There will be some time compression, but, you know.
The last type of missile we need to discuss is the IR, or heat-seeking, missile. These are only capable of locking onto heat signatures from various aircraft, so you can only use them at a pretty short range. Once you get within visual range, about 10 miles, you should start thinking about switching to your sidewinders. Get yourself in the air and out to waypoint 1 so we can practice. Press I/P once you're established on heading, climbing up to 10,000 feet.
Okay, so, did he give me I wasn't paying attention. Did he give me a range or a heading to go to? I don't remember. Alright, let's get all of our radar stuff set up. If you watched my last episode, I did go back and watch watch a tutorial again on the radar system, so I have a little bit more paying attention going on here, but so as always, we're going to cheat a little bit by taking off using the taxiway and heading off in the direction that we're going to be doing our fighting in. This is not how you should do it for those of you who are new to all of this, but I cheat a little bit to reduce the time it takes to get through all this. Alright. Did it give me? I gotta go back and look at the message history. Did he tell me? Oh, waypoint 1. That was waypoint 1. Okay. So let's get the SA page, waypoint 1, and then couple to that waypoint. There we go. And then what did he want me to do? Get in the air and out to waypoint 1 once you're established on heading and climbing up to 10,000 feet. So we'll time compress a little bit to get ourselves to where we're supposed to be. One of the things I don't like about using my phone as a head tracker is that it doesn't necessarily, it's not the most reliable option. Okay, where are we at here? Climbing, we're in a couple. Okay, now I say this every episode so that you understand what's happening. This IP button here is a communication-related button in the F-18, but it's not really used for anything in the simulator. So I use it as the letting my instructor know that we're ready to go on and do something else.
Fence in. IR missiles are much simpler to use than their radar-guided counterparts. The seeker head on the missile is limited to a simple tracking of the most powerful heat source it can detect. It has some logic included in its software to try and defeat flares, but for the most part it just finds something very hot and goes after it. Older aircraft had to get the missile seeker head pointed at a target before the missile would lock on and they could fire the weapon. This requires a lot of maneuvering, and is still the most reliable way to get a hit. That said, your HMD has the ability to coordinate with the missile to fire your weapon with what is called a high-off boresight capability, which just means you can use your head to get a lock on the target, then fire the missile and it will snap toward where you were looking and try to go after it. There is still a limit to the angle at which you can do this, but it makes you far more flexible. For this first time out, we're just going to use the regular mode to get used to locking targets and firing on them. Go ahead and select your AIM 9X. As you can hear, the Sidewinder is providing an audible tone to indicate that it's looking for a heat signature. Once the seeker head finds what it determines to be a target, the pitch of the tone will increase significantly, going from a low rumble up to a higher pitched whine. Once you hear the change in sound, you have a good lock and can fire the weapon. The circle on the HUD represents the bore sight of the missile, so to get a good tone, you You want to place the target within that circle.
Okay, so I can already tell that we're going to need to move the waypoint
where there are 4
and make
MiGs
all that
orbiting the
stuff
location.
closer.
They aren't armed, but will likely defend as you approach. Maneuver to get a good tone and use your 9X to take it.
Because, like, having to travel 100 miles after he finishes talking is a little bit ridiculous. So, you know, we're just going to go ahead and stop and fix that, because there's no point in continuing to test this mission when we know that this is going to be a little bit ridiculous. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it like here, and I'll move these guys like this. So let's see, how far is that now? 40 miles? Yeah, that should be pretty reasonable. So let's save that. One of the reasons why we have to go back through and redo these missions and re-verify that they work is for things like this, just to verify that the pacing of the mission is going to be reasonable. Because, you know, if you're at 100 miles, if you have to fly 100 miles before you actually do the things you were just told to do, you're going to forget most of it by then. So it does. I do need to make sure that, you know, we're doing that.
The last type of missile
So unfortunately, because we have to
is the
redo this, that means I
IR,
have to
or
reset up all this
heat-seeking
stuff again.
missile.
It's annoying, but
These are only capable of locking onto heat signatures from
6-bar
various
scan
aircraft,
at 20
so you can only
miles
use
with
them
a
at a pretty short range.
medium thing for
Once you
our
get within visual
IR
range,
missile.
about 10 miles, you should start thinking about switching to your sidewinders.
4-bar scan at 40
Get yourself
miles.
in the air and out to waypoint 1 so we can practice.
PRF or whatever it's called.
Press I/P once you're established on heading, climbing up to 10,000 feet.
Auto identifies what that is. I forget what the official term for it is, but it's for the IFF, auto IFF. Put our data link and all that stuff on autopilot. Get all of the situational stuff set up. I would prefer for this to be on the EW page. I don't want to listen to the so turn that off. And we'll get ourselves in the air. Get to waypoint 1. We're not going to listen to the narrations again this time. We already know what they say, and I'm relatively content with the instructions as provided. So we'll just leave that there. Get ourselves off the ground. Get our autopilot couple, pull back off of the afterburner, and then yeah. So ideally, I still want to make sure that we're going through this sort of.
And is still the most reliable way to get a hit. Now, we're just going to use head and select your aim 9X. As you can seeker head finds what it determines to be a target, the pitch of the tone will increase significantly, going from a low rumble up to a higher pitched whine. Once you hear the change in sound, you have a good lock and fire the weapon.
Finally.
The circle on the HUD represents the bore side of the missile, so to get a good...
Alright, so now we only have 30 miles, and we're actually starting to get some tracks up here. They're at 11,000 feet based off the data link, so my radar should be picking them up pretty decent. Cool. But the rule for this mission is that we're supposed to be trying to shoot them down with our IR missiles. So let's start heading towards them. We'll speed this up just a little bit so it's not, because you know I want you as the person doing the lesson to have plenty of time to get yourself prepared for this. But for our purposes here, we pretty much just need to hurry up and get up there, because we don't want to be spending forever doing these missions. Where'd you go? How did I lose it? I didn't set up the HP for this either. And I lost it. How did I do that? that verifies that the mission is done. So at this point, we would fly back to the. At this point, we can fly back. So let's. Because I haven't really shown much of that in any of the stuff that we've been doing so far. And these guys are locking me though. I don't believe they're armed. We only have 2 missiles. I'm not gonna be able to kill them all. So let's get our TACAN set up then. Sorry, I'm shouting. The noise from the game is. TACAN is 67 X-ray. TACAN is 67. On. And then we'll head over to the H. We'll turn off all that. We'll turn off that because I want to listen to that this whole time. And then we'll get our HSI set up. And now we can start heading back towards the airfield. So I'm going to get my B-alt down. That way we can get turned in towards where the airfield is. Come on. Oh, because I don't have it. Because I didn't actually press the button. Duh. Is it still... And we have it selected for the waypoint. Or we have it selected for TACAN. I don't know. This is supposed to come to the middle when we're pointed at it. Okay, there we go. And then, yeah, so Cabaletti, 60 miles away. So, if you're new to this series, one of the things that you do at the BRC is 070. One of the things that you practice on every single landing that you do for this is the carrier landing pattern. So, I don't typically bother with this because our run-throughs of these missions usually take longer than 10 minutes like it just did. But since we have some extra time, we might as well go through the process and just so you guys can see how it works. So I have some trigger zones set up around the airfield to monitor whether you're actually doing the landing pattern properly. And if you don't, then it'll tell you, hey, you didn't do that right. Alright, let's get... there's no point in disabling the autopilot. There's no point in disabling the
signal is Charlie.
Because even when I turn off the autopilot, it still tries to control my aircraft, which is really irritating. So I generally don't even bother just turning the autopilot off using the system. Alright, we need to start slowing down because as we pass the simulated carrier, we're supposed to be doing 350 knots. Now, I don't practice this enough, so this may or may not go well. But there's our airfield right there. I do believe. Is that our airfield or? I'm pretty sure this is our airfield. Yeah, this is our airfield. Radar altimeter, so we can get down to 800 feet. We're supposed to slow down to about 350 knots. Then we go a mile past where the carrier is. Do our braking turn to the left. Drop our landing gear and flaps. We're at 350 knots now. Getting pretty close to 800 feet. I don't generally worry too much about being super accurate about 800 feet when we're doing these over the ground because the ground ripples up and down. So if you're a little high, it's not the end of the world. So we're at 350 knots. I'm just waiting for the distance from Cabaletti on the screen there to go to 1. There we go. Do our turn. You're supposed to do like 3+ Gs, but I don't generally bother with that because I find it's really hard to control once you start when you're trying to pull past up to like 3+ Gs and then slowly bring it down. I find anything between 2 and 3 Gs, if you're relatively consistent about it. We had 250 knots, bring the flaps down. I think 270 is actually the inverse of what we're doing. So we bring the speed back. There's a lot going on, and trying to talk while I'm doing it is a little bit difficult. But actually, the HUD here gives me the inverse there. All I have to do is just keep turning until the arrow turns back. So how about that? Okay, a little fast now because we're struggling to do this. I do need to pay attention to the airfield. Like I said, I don't really practice this enough, so I am struggling with it a little bit. And also, I'm trying to talk while I'm doing it. I'm trying to instruct while I'm doing it, so that also adds a little bit of mental workload that makes this more difficult. I'm also needing to correct my roll trim, because we fired a missile, so we're a little off center with our weight. So that's not the best either. We're just going to start doing our turn now. It's a little early probably, but we're also a little further away from the airfield than I really should be, because you really want to try to be, if you can maintain about 2.5 G while you're doing your turn, closer to 3 throughout the entire thing, then you're fine. The rule is supposed to be something like, I think, 10% of your airspeed or something, 1%, whatever. It's related to your airspeed. So if you're doing like 3.5 Gs at 350, whatever the first 2 numbers of your airspeed is, that's what your G should be, and you slowly bring it down as you're going around. Okay, I definitely overshooting this, so we're going to correct a little bit by slowing down and widening our turn out. This is not a textbook landing. Like I said, I haven't practiced this enough recently to be spot on with it, but ideally we'll get a good trap here. It's better to be a little high than a little low. Right, so yeah, we should get a decent trap here if I can keep the...
You just crashed into the carrier.
Oh well.
Go around and try again.
So you see, I have sensors in here so that if you don't land properly, if you don't land in the proper zone, if you land too short, it simulates, oh, you crashed into the back of the carrier. If you land just right, it says good trap, and you're all good, and you can go park and complete the mission. And then if you land too far, it says, oh, you would have missed the carrier. Now, once you get past the first block of missions, I don't force you to do it correctly. It's up to you to practice it, because I'm not really trying to handhold you too much through these missions. These missions are here to provide you with ideally more real-world scenarios than what comes with the basic missions that just kind of drop you in a situation, have you perform a task, and then you exit, and then that's it. I find it's a little easier to learn how to do things when the things I'm learning are incorporated in the natural operations of what you're going to do with the aircraft. So this campaign is not going to go out of its way to try to prevent you from cheating your way out of the process. If you don't want to learn, that's on you. Anyways, this mission pretty much works exactly the way I expected it to work, so we're pretty much done with it. We're going to go ahead and call it a day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the mission. Be sure to come back for our next one, which is going to be, well, let's go look at it. Be sure to come back for the next one, which I believe is going to be dogfighting. Yeah, dogfighting is our next one, so I'll just go ahead and load it so that it's ready to go. Like the video to help it spread out to more people. Subscribe to the channel to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. You can join as a member to support our work here and gain access or early access to videos, among other perks, depending on the tier that you choose. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. So again, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Quality Control series of the F-18 Flight School Campaign. Be sure to come back for the next lesson, and I'll see you then.